Yeah,
but I mean, in general, at the Walmart, you're not fighting. People aren't fist fighting each other at the grocery store.
No, exactly. Yeah. That's my point. Is that this idea
maybe at Walmart's a little bit they are.
A little at Walmart, but that's actually a lot of color on color, black on black, white on white. But
yeah. But no, it's one of those things where I think that a lot of it is just the elites and certain class of people had a vested interest in dividing Americans, not just white Americans, but Black Americans, Native Americans, you name them, and making it so racialized that it's impossible to get anything done anymore because everyone's too worried about that. And so America doesn't have a collective identity. It's not like Hungary, like Viktor Orban has 68% support and among the people. So he can just do whatever he wants, right? And get things passed. So people are like, why can't we be more like Hungary? Well, it's because they have a unified culture and mindset as a Hungarian people,
Well, Jack,
just don't have that in
flat earther.
Yeah, I'm what is called a geocentrist, but because I'm not a globe earther, I'm considered a flat earther. So I don't believe we live on a spinning ball. So are you familiar with the heliocentric model, Andrew?
I am, where all the planets are floating around the sun.
Yes. Okay. So basically how it works, do you know the machinations of the Earth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, how fast is the Earth spinning around the equator?
I don't know off the top of my head.
How round is the Earth around the equator? Do they say?
Is it 12,000 miles or some nonsense like that?
Supposedly 25,000 miles. So how fast should it have to spin if it spins one time a day? That's 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. But listen, and then on top of that, the Earth is orbiting the sun 66,600 miles an hour. And then on top of that, the sun, we're moving through the Milky Way galaxy 1.4 million miles an hour through an ever-expanding universe of space. While we're going 4 different directions, every single night you can look up to Polaris, the North Star, and it doesn't move. It stands still. As a matter of fact, you get a time-lapse camera. If you keep it on there, you'll see the rotation of the stars around it. So in my opinion, there's people like Samuel Robotham, the people that do these experiments way before me. You're like, oh, Alex, you're just talking about this now. This is a new thing. No, there's people way before. It's called zetetic astronomy, where you can look at this over large distances of water. With our current technology, we can see too far. As a 25,000 mile ball, that means the Earth would have to curve at 8 inches per mile square, creating a circle. We've debunked that. That's 100% been debunked with technology. We can see miles. We can see mountains where you're not supposed to see any of the mountains. Way too far. And if you ask even anybody that's like a scientist, astronomer, this and that, they even say. Neil deGrasse Tyson, people say, oh, in an airplane, I can see the curve. They even say that Felix Baumgartner, because the Earth is so big and round, you're not high enough to see the curve. So we can never, ever see the curve. And anytime we've ever put up a balloon, if it wasn't a fisheye lens, the horizon was completely flat. So all the evidence that I've looked into lots of evidence, and then I look into
but what's gravity then?
Well, I believe that's the only thing. That's the only non-relative directions are up and down. That's the only non-relative directions. You left, right, north, south, east.
Yeah, but
west.
isn't gravity explained as a force that's caused by the rotation of the globe?
No, it's based on buoyancy and density. Because look at this. This is what they say. Sir Isaac Newton created gravity because he saw an apple fall from a tree. But if that apple would have fallen into a pond of water, it would have floated, disproving gravity. Because it doesn't make sense that an apple is able to. It's the reason why it floats in the water and doesn't sink, because it's less buoyant. So when you're dealing with a helium balloon, the gas inside the balloon is more buoyant, so it's able to float. So it's a buoyancy and density thing. And when you look at NASA and you look at Tesla and you look at all the bullshit retarded stuff, like they're sending William Shatner up there, it's all mockery. This is where, for me, I know I hate talking about flat Earth, because for somebody that's never looked into it, you have to spend hours and hours and hours, because I don't necessarily think the shape of the Earth is flat. I think there's probably round parts, but I know that we're not on a spinning ball that is 85% water. That's what they tell us. That's false. And then you look at a guy like General Admiral Byrd. He's the biggest explorer.
Yeah, but that's the guy that they claim found a book where they took him to the middle of the fucking Earth. Aliens took him.
I don't know about all that. I mean, I've heard of that, obviously, but I'm saying in his own interviews, he says that Antarctica is so big that there's ice parts and there's tropical parts, which, if you imagine Earth, you're like, how does it fit? Basically, I would say that we are in some sort of bowl, a bowlish type nature. There could be hills, there's plateaus, there's mountains, there's valleys. So to describe the Earth as flat is inconsistent with how I view the shape of the Earth.
Before we get to you, Jack, we had a question that I think is interesting. Why does Alex think that YouTube actually removed the dislike button? Is it possible they want to protect how awful the stuff coming out of the White House is?
That's the main reason, though. The White House account was the one that spearheaded that whole entire thing. No doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
There's no doubt about it. Jack the Hat, what do you want, Jack the Hat? I know you're anti-flat Earth. I can already tell. I hate that I have to come here and defend the heliocentric model. That's the one you believe while also debunking it. So it's kind of a challenge, but how can I help you, Jack the Hat?
Right. Well, you say the Earth's not completely flat. The Earth's not completely round, and no one's saying it is. No one's saying it's completely smooth. There's obviously mountains and stuff, but it's generally a sphere. And
I don't believe so, because it couldn't be a sphere. It couldn't be 80% water if it was a sphere. A ball can't hold water.
Okay, so if you go to the top of, what's it called, the Statue of Liberty with a high-powered telescope, would you be able to see England from it?
Of course not, because there's atmospheric conditions that you're not going to be able to see through. But the fact that you can look into the sky and you can just see the moon that's supposedly 237,000 miles away. That doesn't make sense. Everything the sun, moon, and stars are a clock in the sky, and if you watch the sun, and the moon, they're the same exact size. And if you record moonlight versus sunlight, moonlight is actually cold. It's actually colder than the moon's shade. So how they describe it, that there's all this atmosphere and you can't see from New York to Paris, but yeah, you can just perfectly see the moon that's much, much farther away. It doesn't make sense. The heliocentric model is laughable, but where it is too far.
Looks like a big circle.
But listen to this. You need to look up the black swan, where we can see too far over large distances of large bodies of water. They say that when a boat disappears, because it disappears from the bottom to the top, that means it's going over a curve. Yet if you have a telephotic lens where you can zoom in, you're going to catch, as soon as you zoom in, you're going to catch the boat right back there, because the boat's not on the other side of water. It's just so far away, because the atmosphere makes it where you can't see it anymore. It disappears because it's too far away, because there's a limit to how far we can see. We can't see for forever.
All right. Well, have you seen the experiment they did where they floated a boat over the horizon and it had a stripes pattern on it, and you could see the stripes?
Yeah, that's on the National Geographic. That was the biggest, dumbest experiment in the world, and that doesn't prove that.
Why?
Because that can be debunked by larger bodies of water where you can see. Because that's one experiment where it didn't even prove. First of all, it didn't even prove it because there's the motion of the water. And let me tell you something. There's larger bodies of water where you can see much farther. Lighthouses debunk the globe. There's reports of people being able to see lighthouses from nearly thousands of miles away where the atmosphere was clear. So listen, for every stupid National Geographic fake crappy experiment there's another experiment debunking it, Jack. That's a fact, dude. So listen, I get it. You believe in the globe. I don't even need to sit here and argue with it, because I'll talk about it all day. But I'm saying the globe has been debunked. We can see too far. Stuff should be hidden behind the level of curve. That doesn't happen, so you're debunked. I mean, that's just a fact.
No.
You've just been debunked.
No.
Go ahead.
All right, well,
Jack.
All right, well, the flat Earth's been debunked because we've got satellite images from space, haven't we?
Yeah, but satellites are on balloons, and satellites are bullshit. If you think a satellite is orbiting the Earth, look up satellites on balloons.
I can confirm this.
Has anybody ever looked up a satellite? All you gotta do is NASA is the biggest importer of helium. They have the most helium in the world. Any satellite that's in the sky is on a balloon. And if you don't believe me, Google Satelloons, and you're gonna see NASA Satelloons, dude.
Wait, so helium works outside of the Earth's atmosphere, does it?
It doesn't leave the Earth's atmosphere. That's why it still works. And when it does, the balloon crashes. Look up satellite balloons crashing. And if you like balloons so much, look up balloon footage without a GoPro lens, without a fisheye lens. The horizon is flat, dude. Even at 200,000 feet, it is flat, dude. The horizon is flat at over 200,000 feet.
What's the motive here? Why are every government body on Earth lying about this?
Exactly.
Why would they do that?
You're going to say, oh, wow, how are they going to get it together? The compartmentalization.
No, what's the point? Why would they lie about the Earth being round? How does it benefit anybody?
Because what I said earlier is the government is a control mechanism. All they care about is being able to control its humans. If humans actually knew that they could maybe go to the edge of the earth and maybe there's even more outside the edge, people would be constantly looking at that. But instead, we have what is called the Antarctica Treaty that was signed in 1954, where 127 nations all agreed to never ever independently explore Antarctica. Yet all of those 127 nations at some point have had conflicts with each other through some sort of war. So listen, if you're going to tell me that every single war is real and that treaty's fake, then I'll have to believe that. Or you're going to either say that treaty is fake and all the wars are fake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
How does
I
that?
did look into that treaty, though, right? And it is true that there is a treaty between all these nations for the purpose of exploration. It's explained in a pretty reasonable way, though, which is who the fuck wants to fight over Antarctica, right? Antarctica.
Yeah, but there's some of the most resources in the world. Yet we're going to fight over Afghanistan and the Middle East. Oh, we're just you
can't easily access
lithium
resources.
mines, oil field. There's plenty of resources in Afghanistan.
Why do you think all the government will follow that accordance, that treaty, but they won't follow other treaties, Jack? Why is that? Is it because all the government stuff is fake, or is it because all the government stuff's real?
Well, I'm trying to tell you, Antarctica's not worth fighting for, is it? There's nothing on it. It's
That's
just a block of ice.
You don't know. We don't know. We're not allowed to do it. There's no. No, listen to this, Jack. There's no independent exploration below the 60th parallel. You, me, nobody can independently go below the 60th parallel. And the people that have been stopped with gunships. So listen, you're going to say, oh, I don't know if it's in Antarctica because you know why? Somebody told me there's nothing there. Well, sorry. Listen, I can get a good look at a steak by taking the butcher's word for it, but I'd rather see it for myself, dude. I want to touch it. I don't want to get pissed on and then to say it's raining. That's the difference between you and me. They can tell me a cute story, and I'm not necessarily going to believe it. I'm a skeptic.
All right, so is the moon flat then as well? And every other planet that we know about, are they flat?
I don't necessarily
why are they not flat?
Well, why can you only see one side of the moon?
Planets and then Earth's just flat, is it?
Well,
why?
Listen, that's what you're going to say. Because what you see in the sky doesn't necessarily mean what you're standing on. And on top of this... No, on top of this, you can't even see. You can't even see the faces. You see one face of the moon. So if it was a ball, you think, and it's spinning while we're spinning. At some point, it would be slightly off, and we'd get to see a little more of the moon. We get to see a little more of the face. It never changes. The moon face has never changed. So you don't necessarily know the shape of the moon. I can show you pictures of circles over a black backdrop, and then you pull it up, and it'll be a picture of a ball, then an actual ball cut in half, then a ball, and through those pictures, you can't even tell the difference. So you're going to tell me that just shows you how ingenuine you are, that you think you know exactly what the moon is. No, and you don't know. You don't know exactly what the sun is, and that's what they tell you. They tell you that they know. They tell you that they know the moon is 200 degrees in the sunlight and 200 degrees in the shade on the moon. How the hell could you tell that by looking through a telescope? That's retarded. See, if you believe,
I don't know what the moon is. When you're the one claiming you know what it is,
cow's ass to know that there's going to be steak.
What makes me go right?
Well, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm saying. You can get a good look at a T-bone steak by sticking your head up a cow's ass, but I'd rather take the butcher's word for it. It's the saying, and he's taking the butcher's word for it. I don't want to take the butcher's word for it. So yes, I will stick my head up a cow's ass. That's what I have
you don't believe in gravity, do you? You cannot believe in gravity.
What do you mean? I believe in gravity. I mean, I don't believe in gravity. I believe there's an up and down. I don't believe that there's some it's buoyancy and density. There's no magical force that's holding us on the ball. That's fake. That's not.
That look flat to the naked eye. I'll admit that just looking at the moon, to me, it does look like. I mean, it looks circular, but it looks flat. It doesn't look spherical.
I'm not saying there's not something circular to our existence, to our Earth. Our Earth could be a big circle. I don't necessarily know that. So I'm not saying there isn't something spherical or circular about our universe. But for you to call it a ball, and that you think that, Australia is on the other side of us upside down right now. Yeah, we don't have any footage from the ISS of an upside down boat. They can't show us anything. They can't give us a 24-hour footage. And NASA is so full of crap. No, listen, if you know so much, all you got to do is look into the 1969-1972 Apollo moon missions. A guy named Gus Grissom was the original, the most decorated Air Force pilot at the time, was the original man that was supposed to walk on the moon. And he died in a testing seminar on the launch pad saying, how are we supposed to get to the moon if we can't speak between two buildings? And he hung a lemon on the lunar lander. So what I'm saying is, NASA is provably false, so fake. Anything they say is bullcrap. So all your information you're getting is from a foundation of NASA that's totally fake, that is literally Luciferian Satanists that wants you to think that you're insignificant and that your life doesn't matter and that this is all a cosmic accident and that you evolved from the primordial soup and that there is no creator and that there is no God. That's why they want you to feel that way and think you live on a spinning ball.
All right, listen, you said you don't believe in gravity, you believe there's an up and down, but what force creates the up and down motion?
There's no force acting on it. There's no force.
There's no force.
No, it's buoyancy and density. Why? Okay, listen, if gravity is so strong, how does a balloon work? How does a butterfly flap its wings? So is a butterfly an anti-gravity machine? Is a balloon an anti-gravity? Is a balloon an anti-gravity machine?
No.
It dispels gravity.
What do you mean?
A balloon. Why doesn't a balloon fall to the ground?
Because helium.
Yeah, exactly. So gravity doesn't work on. So gravity doesn't work on helium. That works on everything else. It works on you and me. It works on everything around us, but it doesn't work on helium.
No, it does.
Gravity has its own. Helium has its own force.
Exactly. You can't even answer that because it doesn't. Because it's not gravity that's causing us to go down.
Isn't gravity working on airplanes though, Alex?
I don't know the science.
No,
like gravity's working on airplanes. And
we definitely love to get into airplanes and how lift works. But first of all, that's the number one thing. If people need to look up crash landings on the flat earth. Anytime there's a crash landing, you look at the actual, anytime that goes on anybody that goes on an airplane flight, you'll see the route of your plane. It always makes this big U. Anytime you're flying from like New York to wherever, it makes this big U. But if you map that exact flight on an AE map, it's always a straight line. And all you got to do is look up crash landings on a flat earth. There's all these flights that always land in Alaska or California that are always on the way to Japan. It's because it's on a straight line. They go over that. So just Google crash landings.
How does gravity work in a vacuum?
I don't necessarily know the interior nature of a vacuum. I know thrust can't
so
work.
If your theory, I get what he's saying. He's saying if your theory is it all works off of buoyancy and density, so therefore things that are less buoyant or less dense or whatever float because there is no such force as gravity. When you control for that by creating a vacuum and then putting an item in it and it still falls to the ground, isn't that kind of defeating the argument of buoyancy and density?
No, because
there's no such thing as a perfect vacuum, though. Even the best vacuums on Earth aren't perfect vacuums. They fall slower, but they still fall.
And there's vacuum experiments where they cannot have thrust. You cannot have directional thrust pushing against nothing. See, a plane is pushing against air. A rocket that's in space is supposedly nothing. The International Space Station is supposedly going at 17,500 miles an hour. When they go outside and they do a spacewalk, it doesn't even look like they're moving. It's because they're not moving because it's all bullshit. So what I'm saying is if you're in space, thrust doesn't work if you're not thrusting off something. So they tell us you can go 17,500 miles an hour and you won't even feel it. That's absurd. And you just have to use your eyes and ears and tell us if you were just using your senses, you would not think the earth was spinning. You would think that the sun, moon, and stars rotate around us if you were just using your senses. But now you're not using your senses anymore. Instead of using your God-given ability, the eyes that God gave you to see, you're letting NASA tell you what's happening. You're learning about all this stuff in first grade. The indoctrination is so real and so young that you can't even break out of it. And see, that's the problem, Jack. You probably were like a space nerd as a young kid, and now that I'm shattering the reality of your whole world, it's very tough to hear that. But I'm just telling you, at the end of the day, we're not on a spinning ball going 1,100 miles around the equator, 66,000 miles around the sun, and Polaris and North Star is in the same spot every night.
All right, listen, I've got NASA in one ear with all their equipment and all these scientists working for them telling me that the Earth's round, and everything they've shown me seems to confirm that. And then I've got flat earthers in the other ear telling me that the Earth's flat and the moon might be as well, and that gravity doesn't exist. So, based on the evidence, I'd say the Earth's round because.
Well, you can see too far. All you got to do is just look up the black swan. We can see too far over large distances of bodies of water with a telescopic lens over a camera, like a telephoto lens with a huge zoom. We can see way too far. There should be a curve. Boats, mountains should be invisible on the other side of a metaphorical water ball, a hill of water, but you can zoom and see right on it. I'm just telling you, we can see too far. So the shape of the Earth is not a ball.
Well, isn't you're an engineer, Andrew? You're an engineer, right? You do like engineering stuff. So how would thrust work in a vacuum? I'm curious because I don't know anything about that. But Alex is saying that thrust would not work in a vacuum. Of course, there's nothing to push off.
Of course, it works in a vacuum.
What would it push off of if there's nothing in the vacuum?
It pushes off the same way everything else does. You need to have some type of forward inertia from some type of forward inertia making device.
I know, and so how would you make inertia against pushing against nothing?
Usually with an explosion, which is why we do it with rocket ships.
See, they try to say that they have drones on Mars, and the way is they spin like 7 times as fast because the air is 1/7 the atmosphere. That's ridiculous. The lies that they have to say.
Why is it ridiculous? If you had less gravity.
If you think something's on, I'm just saying, if you think something is on Mars right now, actually driving around that far away, dude, you don't have a chance. I mean, you're so indoctrinated. You don't know the reality of our world. Like, that is so fake. And that is such a fraud that they're on Mars. That's how you know it's a fraud. Because look at China. They have all those fake moon landers. They have a moon rover. All that stuff. When you look at the footage, it's garbage.
To speak to Jay Y's point, he says there's no perfect vacuum. I mean, I disagree. Of course, there's perfect vacuums, and you can actually judge how much vacuum is in a system using a head gauge. In fact, and it'll tell you what the vacuum pressure is, and you can eliminate all environmental factors inside of a vacuum. And then if you use like a rubber glove or something to push through, it's still a sealed container, and you go push a ball off, it's still going to fall to the bottom of the vacuum chamber. So I don't understand how that would interface with your ideas of buoyancy and and lightness necessarily. I think that kind of takes all those environmental factors out, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, that still doesn't explain how does a balloon float then?
It's lighter than oxygen.
Exactly. So it's less. But I'm saying, why doesn't the gravity hold the balloon down?
Well, I mean, but the gravity does pull against the balloon.
Gravity works with mass. There is no mass in helium.
You guys, I know
the mass theory of gravity. To be fair, the mass theory of gravity has been debunked. They don't even consider mass on mass. No, it has. No astrophysicist, no physicist takes mass on mass gravity seriously anymore. They completely, it's space time now. The gravity is space time warp. Like they've completely debunked that. So I mean, to be fair with Alex here, I'm just trying to be fair. Like
it's true. There is more mass. There is more mass out there than there is more gravity in the universe theoretically than there is mass to account for it. I agree that that's true. Right. This is something that I've looked into, so I know that that's true. But what I don't understand is the thrust in a vacuum thing. And I don't really understand the environmental factor here, because if you are in a vacuum, you take the environmentals out of it. Shouldn't the item still float?
Well, let me just ask you this. We can get all scientific. Does everybody here believe that we evolved from monkeys and pond scum?
No.
I do not.
Bacteria.
You do think that? Yeah, that's what you see. That's what I'm saying. So you think we evolved from the primordial soup, the lightning struck. See, that's why you and I will never ever agree, because that is actually, like, I would think that's insane. That you would think that we're just all a cosmic accident. So it's like,
that's brilliant coming from a flat earther.
What did you say?
I said that's hilarious coming from a flat earther.
Yeah, I feel sorry for you. I mean, you think you evolved from nothing. Do you think your life has no meaning? You have no purpose. You're under a
bacteria,
spell.
So you're not listening.
That's what I'm saying. I know, but you think you evolved from bacteria. That's insane. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Why is it?
Because that's impossible. Because there's no chain of species. There's no transitional species.
But it's not insane to say, God just clicked his fingers and magicked us into existence. That's more logical to you, is it?
Yeah, there's more evidence for that. There's more evidence for a creator than there is that you just think every single thing is an accident. The sheer fact you don't even know how many grandparents you have to actually get here. The amount you had at one point, you had like 9,000 grandparents. For all of them had to have sex at the exact same time for you to be here. Your life is not meaningless. I know, Jack. Like, you're probably some guy alone that's probably an atheist that thinks you evolved from pond scum. And you want to keep that low vibrational energy. See, I'm not. I'm the opposite of you. I'm high vibrational energy. I believe in a creator, and I think I'm a spiritual being.
Which one?
I'm saying, there's a bunch of different ones, but what I'm saying is I believe that I am a spiritual being having a physical experience. So, you and I are totally different wavelengths, so we're never ever going to agree. So we can sit here and butt heads, but you literally think that you evolved from bacteria. So I mean, you don't have any base in reality.
All right, let me ask you one more thing then. What's on the outskirts of the Earth? Beyond the borders that are guarded by the.
I know exactly what it is. It's snow and 5 pounds of dirt. How would I know somewhere I've never been? That just shows you how smart you are, asking questions that don't even have the answer. How would I know? I'm not allowed to do any independent exploration. There's no independent exploration below the 60th parallel, and every single country agreed to an Antarctica treaty that restricts us from doing that.
Mate,
so
you've done is make assumptions. All you've done is make assumptions saying,
I have to make assumptions because nobody's telling me the truth, because I'm not just going to have them tell me a good story.
Idiot.
Listen, I'm not the fucking idiot. You're the one that believes you evolved from pond scum, dude. You think that you came here from soup, so you're the one that's an idiot.
I'm not 100% sure.
You can call me all the names you want, dude, but you literally think you're a protista. So, bud, like you and I are not the same, Jack. I'm here in my face. I'm saying you're the coward that won't even show your face on the screen. Like, you and I are a lot different. So I'm just saying you can call me all the names you want, Jack, but I mean, I'm Primetime 99 Alex Stein. We don't have to agree. You think you're a protista at the end of the day.
I couldn't help it, man. That was just too funny.
You're up, Bozzy. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
We can, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm totally open to interesting conspiracy theories and stuff. And there's some interesting stuff to flat Earth. But like, if you just don't know physics, that's not an excuse to like be a flat earther. Like, you can look into this stuff and answer the questions that you have. Like, how does
listen? You can give me all the scientific mumbo jumbo. It's all bullcrap, dude. I'm just saying.
You can go test this right now.
Any astrophysicist can tell you, oh, I know all about the stars. You've never been there. You're just taking somebody's word for it. The fact that somebody can look through a telescope on a planet that's so far away and tell you the temperature of it because they think it looks like gas on our planet, that's a lie. That's an imbecile would believe that. Yeah, exactly. The ancient Greeks. You're going to tell me the ancient Greeks figured it all out before us. Okay, let's hear this one. I've
2,000 years ago, they knew the distance of the sun, the size of the sun, all these different things.
See, you believe the sun is 93 million miles away. That's absurd. The sun is much closer than 93 million miles away, because when you're on top of a mountain, the sun is much more stronger than when you get to the bottom of a mountain. You can look at the crepuscular rays, the way the sun comes through the clouds, the angle at which the sun comes through the clouds. It is a localized sun. It is not a far sun, because the angle of the rays.
No, that's because you have no idea how diffraction works.
That's a crepuscular ray. Yeah, listen. Diffraction can happen. It's not simple things. This is a complex stuff. Yet all I need to know is this: is I see too far. The ball model is absurd. So you can tell me all the physics mumbo jumbo you want. I can see too far with a telescope on land over large bodies of water that I know it's not curving at 8 inches per mile square. You're debunked.
The light actually bends due to gravity. The Einstein.
Yes, we can say there's refraction. Yeah, I believe in refraction, but in certain elements it can change. It can make things look all different sorts of ways. I'm saying, over time, we can see objects too far with a telescope when the conditions are right. That proves that the 8 inches per mile square model of the Earth is done. Do you know how if you know so much, how big is the Earth? How big is the Earth around the equator?
64,000 kilometers, I believe.
It is 25,000 miles. And do you know how fast it spins?
Very fast.
Yeah, see, you don't even know. So you don't even know the machinations of the heliocentric model. So I'm not going to come here and debate some idiot that doesn't even know which side he's debating for. So, I mean, Ozzy, you don't even know your own model.
All right, let's talk about this. Well, how does thrust work in a vacuum? It's called conservation of momentum.
It doesn't work. Listen, we can sit here and debate space. Well, no, but yes, because there's videos of people in a vacuum trying to use thrust, trying to make a feather go different directions, and they can't. So listen, there are experiments where there's no thrust in space. You can be like, oh, there's experiments. It works perfect. We are sitting here circumcising an ant. All you need to do is use your eyes and ears to tell you that the sun, moon, and stars rotate above your head. When you see a sunset, that's because the sun is setting. That's not because you're spinning backwards 1,100 miles an hour. When you see the sun rise, that's because the sun is rising. That's not because you're moving forward 1,100 miles an hour. You got to use your common sense. You want to talk about thrust in a vacuum? You can't even create that. An individual can't recreate that. And the people that have, but look at the videos. Look at the videos of the people that have. There is no thrust in a vacuum. I mean, there's videos. There's videos you can say that it works, and there's videos where it doesn't work. So I mean,
Alex, you gotta let him get a word in, buddy. Okay. Go ahead, man.
All right, if you stand on a frozen lake, right, and I just put you there, and there's there's absolutely no friction whatsoever on the lake. How do you get from the center of the lake back to the shore? You can do this via conservation of momentum. Even though you can't push off the lake or any of that, you could.
Dude, you're trying to describe the surface of a lake to the nothingness of space. That shows you how dumb you are, Ozzy. You're retarded. There's friction.
Both of these have no friction.
The lake has friction. Space doesn't have friction. So when you're putting your weight and you're talking about pushing off and sliding on your feet, no, there is friction. And if you're going to describe the same conditions as a frozen lake as space, you're retarded, Ozzy. You're a fucking retarded idiot describing ice as the same as space when they're totally different. So anything you have to say, dude, you don't have a clue, bud.
So you're not considering.
Are you trying to? I know. So you're trying to say a flat lake is the same as space. Is that what you're trying to say, Ozzy?
It's the exact same concept. You can move without pushing off.
That a frozen lake is the exact same concept of space. Ozzy, you're retarded, bud. You're an idiot. A frozen lake and space are totally different. I'm sorry to break it to you, but a reality check. A frozen lake, the conditions of sliding on top of a frozen lake is much different on the conditions of going from Earth to the moon. Very different. Sorry to break it to you, bud.
But both of these, right, you can approximate to an idea of having
that that's the same. Are you going to really keep saying that?
Hang on, let him get it out. You gotta let him get it out.
Let him get it out. But dude, look how dumb you sound, Ozzy. You're trying to compare sliding on a lake on your heels to flying through space. It's just mental, dude. This is what proves that we're on a ball, because you can slide your heels on ice. Yet that means that a rocket ship can fly and make a left and a right and can just fly around all day long. That's the same.
Let him get it out. Come on, Ozzy.
Ozzy.
You got a minute. You can get it out. Let him get it out, Alex. Jeez.
So I'm saying all of these things.
Stupid. He's just comparing ice to space, to the nothingness of space. I can slide on a lake. I can slide on a lake through one push, so that means the Earth is a ball. All right, you got it. You debunked it. You figured it out. Ozzy, you figured it out. Oh my God, you can slide on a lake, so that means the Earth is a spinning ball. Oh, you proved it. Oh, you debunked it. Oh, let me quit now. Even all the other evidence just proves that we're not moving. But you can kick your feet off and slide through the inertia on a frozen lake. That's the same exact as a rocket ship going to the moon. You're retarded, Ozzy. And I mean, I really feel sorry for you.
So now if you take a rocket ship, right, you can't push off of anything, but using conservation of momentum, right, that's what thrust does. So you have a certain amount of mass of fuel that is going to be lost, and that is how you can propel yourself through space without friction.
So that's the same as sliding on a lake.
Ozzy, this is what they say. They have the experiment where they have a bowling ball and then they drop all the other balls around it, and eventually all the balls collide into the heavier ball, and they say, "Oh, that proves it's gravity." No, that's retarded. We're not all falling into ourselves. We're not moving. The sun, moon, and stars rotate around us, and you describing the frictionless atmosphere. You're describing the frictionless push off of a frozen lake to the same conditions as outer space. Just shows you that you are not in reality, dude. You're hoping for copium to try to keep your ball theory alive because it's just so weak.
This is how you learn things via physics.
This is your best argument that we're on a spinning ball because you can slide on a lake. Because you can slide on a lake, that means you live on a spinning ball. That shows you how smart you are, bud. You're really smart.
Well, at least I'm willing to actually entertain.
I don't want to. You think I want to believe that the Earth is not a spinning ball? You think I want to do that? No, it sucks. I had to fight myself and deny it constantly, dude. I don't ever go around and telling people I believe the Earth is flat because you sound fucking retarded. But at the end of the day, the machinations of the universe that they describe us is just as fake as the theory of evolution. It's not real. No. I understand physics enough. No, Ozzy, I understand it all. You're trying to compare sliding, the physics of sliding on a lake to using thrust in space. I'm just not stupid enough to fall for that stupid analogy. You know what I mean? It's just pathetic. And that's how you think we live on a ball because of that analogy. If that's your big debunk, dude, you're like, you're a mental midget is what I would call you. Is all a mental midget.
Things, and you're not willing to go through the actual effort to understand the physics. That doesn't mean you can just write it off.
Dude, no, I have gone through the physics. I'm just saying you're trying to tell me because you can push off a lake, that means that with thrust works in space?
It's the same concept. Yeah, it's called
Yeah, it's not the
conservation.
same.
of
So
momentum.
you're an idiot. It's not the same.
And
Dude,
Ozzy, to be
Space
fair,
travel-
to
space
Alex,
travel in a lake
it's not
are
the
totally
same. It's
Yeah.
not the same, Ozzy, because in a vacuum, you need, because for example, we're in theory, we're in a container, right? We have atmosphere, and so we have an atmosphere that we can thrust off of, meaning we have like atoms, right? In theory, atoms that thrust off, but in space, there's not enough. There's no atmosphere to thrust off of. So what Alex is asking in a very maybe more aggressive way by calling you a retard, but he's basically saying, how do you have thrust in a vacuum to make a rocket go left
And
or
I'm
right?
trying to explain that to you.
But your analogy, no, that doesn't work, because you need to demonstrate how that works.
Let him try to demonstrate it then.
You can demonstrate this if you're on this ideal lake with absolutely zero friction and you can't push off of anything. You can take off your jacket and throw it. And as you do that, conservation of momentum means that the momentum must be conserved. So as that jacket,
but how do you steer when you throw your jacket? You would just.
well, now I'll throw my glove to the left, and now I'm going back into the left, right? And this is the exact same way that a rocket ship uses thrust.
That's
it ejects
not, dude,
fuel.
a rocket
That's not how thrust works, Ozzy. To be fair, that's not how thrust works. Thrust needs to have the reason your jacket propels. No, listen here. Listen, I'm not even a physics guy, but I know this is bullshit, that what you're saying. I don't even necessarily agree with Alex on this. I'm just saying that this is kind of like a silly argument, because a jacket, when you throw it, what is it doing? It's pushing off the air around you. In space, there's no air around you. It's a vacuum. So you don't have anything to thrust off of. That's what thrust is.
You can eject mass. That is what thrust
into a
is.
vacuum. There's nothing to put that. There's nothing for that mass to push off of. That's what he's saying.
You're pushing off of the rocket itself. The same way
that means it doesn't go anywhere. It just pushes off the rocket. Man, that makes no sense to me. I don't know. That makes no sense to me. So maybe there's the answer, but what you're saying doesn't make sense to me.
Ozzy, look at Ozzy, what I want you to do is you don't have to believe me. You can say I don't know anything about physics, but look into Gus Grissom, 1969 Apollo moon missions, and look at Gus Grissom had to say about NASA. He was the most decorated pilot, Air Force pilot in the Air Force, and he was murdered. His family said he was murdered. He died at a training seminar, and he said that NASA didn't have the capability to go to the moon then. So do you believe that we landed on the moon in 1969 through 1972?
Well, that's a totally different debate. I think
that's the same debate. That's a space rocket using thrust in space. You can
argue the moon landing is fake without having to say that the entire Earth is flat.
Okay, but you can say that you can push off a lake, and that doesn't necessarily mean the Earth's not flat. So, we're just apples and oranges. You know what I mean? It's like you're trying to say that physics is the same, that it can go in space with no thrust. Yet I know NASA lied about the 1969 to the 1972 moon landing. So I know anything they say in the future is based on a foundation of lies. So anything they tell us now, and any space flight, anything like that, is bullcrap. So that's where I'm at.
So, and I think this is where you can get into an interesting area. And I agree that you should be very skeptical about these things. But if you can understand things from a strong mathematical physics
Ozzy,
background,
I can understand things. You're not that smart, Ozzy. Trust me. You think you can understand so much. You're not that smart, bud. I'm just telling you that. You're not that smart. You think that, oh, I'm so dumb I can't figure it out. Ozzy, I don't know if you're a roofer or painter or what you do for a living, but I'm just telling you, you're not that smart, bud. You're just as dumb as the rest of us. So, you think you figured it out, that the Earth is a spinning ball because you could push off a lake, and that shows that thrust works in space. You're an imbecile, dude.
Well, here's what I do. I literally teach people physics. That's my job.
Exactly. You're a teacher. You're an indoctrination. That just shows you how big of a loser you are. That I should have known as soon as I got on there. I was talking to some loser teacher indoctrinator that looks into a science book the whole time. That's the last thing is I want to talk to is somebody that goes by a textbook. I believe the textbooks are all bullshit. So you can tell me that you're a scientist. You teach science.
Have no grounds to call them.
Science. You teach science to children, so you know everything. So you know the shape of the Earth. Give me a break, bud. Go back to the study. Is it time for homeroom? Is it time for homeroom yet for you? Didn't you have to go back to homeroom?
That's very good point there. Thank you.
You need to go teach these kids physics. You can teach them how thrust works on a lake. You can say that pushing yourself off a lake is the exact same.
Come on, Alex. He came on in good faith. He hasn't thrown any shade.
No, but this is the thing is people want to attack me. I get it. Listen, I don't like walking around and be like, oh, I love flat earth. But guys, people that you want all the smoke, you're trying to honestly say that you know the shape of the earth because of you were able to push off a frictionless lake. That means that rocket ships 100% work. Dude, what your eyes and ears tell you when you watch a sunset or sunrise, you need to go off your instincts instead of letting somebody else tell you.
My instincts and my eyes and ears show me that when there's a big giant ball of fire underneath something and it goes up. Right?
The sun is moving. I agree that the sun is moving. I'm saying has anybody here ever been in Andrew, let me say this. Have you ever been in an earthquake?
Yeah, many times.
Yeah, it's freaky. And the earth moves very slow. It moves incredibly slow. Yet they tell you that you're spinning 1,100 miles an hour around the equator. But a plane, when it flies, let's say it's going from New York to San Francisco, and even though the earth is spinning under it nearly at that, because it's north, it's only spinning like 700 miles there because it's more north. But the flights would be way faster going against the spinning of the earth. But that's not the case. That doesn't make sense. So there's just so many. Have
you ever fired a bottle rocket?
Have I ever lit a firework? Yes. I'm just saying.
What does it do?
It goes in the sky, but you can't put a helicopter. You can't just float a helicopter for 24 hours and have the earth spin underneath it. That's not how it works. So they say we can't tell that we're spinning.
Well, so that's my question though. If you lit that bottle rocket in space, what would it do?
You wouldn't be able to light, I don't think, anything in space, but I don't know how you'd have a flame in space.
Okay, electronically, you could do it. Ignited electronically internally.
Well, bottle rocket, it wouldn't. I mean, it would go all over. It wouldn't be able to steer.
But it would move, right? It would still have to move.
All you got to do is this: look at the rockets of SpaceX landing reverse cowgirl on its ass. That is so fake. You can be like, oh, that's real. Those are such CGI bullshit that if you have half of a brain and you can't look at that and decipher that that's fake, you're insane. That a rocket can land, on its butt, on its thruster like that. That is impossible. They can't recreate that with a smaller rocket.
Not saying that neither here nor there. I'm just saying that you could have, if you had a bottle rocket, had a small oxygen pocket in it, and then you used an electronic ignition for the primer, right? Then you would instantly have fuel if you were in a vacuum space, why wouldn't it move?
Once again, you're comparing a explosion of firework with the maneuverability of a spacecraft. It's totally different, the story they tell us. Now, I'm saying, could you have an explosion in space? Yeah, I think that's possible, Andrew. But the way they tell us that these spaceships can just go left, right, up, and down and move in the directions that it does, it's fake. It's laughable.
What's up?
What's going on, Chad? Man, Alex is going to get it from all sides tonight.
I got it.
I'm just kind of a little bit triggered, I guess. Why the fuck are you talking so much shit to Ozzy? Ozzy's he's one of the smartest people on this channel. I think it's total bullshit that you just come on here and him just trying to have a conversation with you, you just call him a retard and all this shit. He's literally just trying to flesh out your argument. I'm calling you out.
Dumb. He called me dumb.
No, he fucking didn't.
Chad, yes, he did. He said, I don't understand simple physics, Chad. Listen, Chad, you can come here and try to yell at me. Listen, he tried to make fun of me first. Okay. I'm the one debating with him. He came on a debate. So that's the way I debate. I think he's an imbecile because he's describing pushing off a lake as the same as the frictionlessness of space. That's retarded. If you think that's smart, it shows that you're retarded too. And honestly, the way I look at you, those glasses and your beard and stuff, you do look like a retard, soy boy. So what do you want, Chad? I want all the smoke. You can come on here. You want to come and yell at me? Ozzy's a retard.
Your best argument is that NASA is a fucking conspiracy theory about big government, but yet you don't have any answer as to why they would be doing this shit. Why are they subverting? Why is every single nation subverting?
Because they want to make you feel like you are insignificant. They want to keep you in a low vibrational state, is what is called fight or flight. Because when you are in that state, you're easily controllable. Because what happens is, at the end of the day, a government is a people management system. So as long as they can lie to you and make you think you're on a spinning ball and that you evolved from pond scum, you will never ever take any self responsibility in making your life good. You can always be a victim, and you can be a victim your whole life. And I can tell, Chad, that you are a victim because you're coming on here all sorry for Ozzy. You're standing up for him. You have that victimhood beta mentality. So listen, you're a victim. I'm so you're sorry. You're coming here. You're the knight in shining armor to help your boyfriend Ozzy. What's up? What's up, Chad?
Nothing. I was just coming on to say.
You want to kiss your boyfriend? Give Ozzy a kiss before you go, or are you just gonna drink that drink?
I mean, Ozzy's pretty cool. I just think if you want people to come over to your side, I would just.
I don't want.
You really don't?
I don't, because listen.
This is
what I said earlier, Chad. This is what I said at the beginning of this stream. A&W Root Beer did a nationwide survey, and they asked people what they thought was a better value: a 3-pounder hamburger for $3.99 or a 1/4-pounder hamburger for $4.09. Overwhelmingly, people said they thought the better value was $4.09. You know why? Because people are retarded. You're a perfect example. Ozzy's a perfect example. You guys are both retards. So if I'm trying to convince a bunch of retards to come on my side, I'd rather not have you. So I'm not trying to convince a bunch of retarded
that's a retarded
people.
Argument then.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't want a bunch of retards.
Are you a Christian?
No, I'm not. I mean, I was baptized. Okay, I'm a little bit of a Christian, but I'm not a real Christian.
Question answered. All right, perfect. Okay. So you don't have any belief in a higher power.
No, I do. I believe in God. I believe in the Creator. I'm the one telling you.
But you're not a Christian.
I don't necessarily think Jesus died for all of man's sins. No, I believe that story. That story has been changed by a lot of different people. You know that.
You're not a Christian.
I've accepted Jesus Christ. I've asked for forgiveness from Jesus Christ, but I don't necessarily think he's the savior. That's where I'm at. But listen,
you're not a Christian.
But if you're a Christian, why don't you look into the Bible? Why don't you look into Genesis? It describes the earth as being immovable.
Yeah, so I don't care. I don't really care about that.
If you're a Christian, are you a Christian?
Yes.
Do you believe in the Bible?
Yes.
Do you know the Bible describes the earth as immovable?
See, the thing is, I don't really care.
You're an idiot, Chad. Exactly, because you're a retard and you don't realize that even your own book that you worship, how it describes it. Yet I do. You're saying I'm not a Christian, yet I know your book better than you. So I'm dealing with a retarded soy boy with your boyfriend Ozzy. You know, it's just I come on here and
you're the vegetarian. So me and
I know I don't eat meat because I love animals. You can make fun of me for that.
Hey, I love animals too. They taste good.
Yeah, they taste amazing.
That's fine, and y'all are welcome to eat it. My cats eat. I just don't eat it. I'm just saying, Chad, you're the one that says you're a Christian, yet you don't even know how Genesis, the first chapter in the Bible, describes the earth. Well, then how does the Bible describe the earth if you know so much?
You said it.
It describes it as immovable.
The problem is I don't take too much.
If the Bible describes the earth as immovable, then how is it going 4 different directions? It doesn't.
I don't fucking know.
In the Bible,
you're ascribing arguments to me that I don't actually make.
Exactly.
I don't know what happens.
Don't know. Yeah, you don't know. There's a lot you don't know. What you don't know could fit, in the ocean.
See, the problem is it doesn't have any implication on my worldview.
As such a good Christian, you should know that in the Bible it also describes the sun as being moved, that God moved the sun. So it does describe the earth as immovable, and it describes the sun as moving. So you're such a good Christian, you don't even know your own book, buddy.
Well, I'm not a Christian because I don't believe that the earth is flat. Like, what the fuck?
No, you don't believe in your own Bible. You don't believe how the Bible describes the earth. Well, then look up how the Bible describes the earth. It describes the firmament in Psalm 19:1. It doesn't change anything. In Psalm 19:1, you look this up. It says the firmament showeth his handiwork, in that it says that the sun, moon, and stars rotate within the firmament. In your Bible, your book that you worship, not me.
What?
So you're coming here. That just shows you how hypocritical and retarded you are. That a book and Christian you call yourself, that you're coming here and telling me you know the earth, yet you won't even listen to how it's described in your own book. You don't have to listen to me. Don't listen to Primetime 99 Alex Stein. Crack open your Bible.
The difference is I'm saved and you're not.
Maybe not. You don't know. According to you, oh yeah, you know exactly what happens just when you die. You're the first person ever to figure it out, Chad. Oh, thank you so much. You figured out exactly what happens after we die. That shows you how retarded you are, that you actually come here and can talk seriously and say that you know.
You make an argument and he says, you're just retarded. You're retarded.
Because you think you know what happens when we die. It just shows you how stupid you are.
I'm like the 5th person you've called retarded tonight.
What happens when we die then, Chad, if you know so much? Because you've
died
before.
Heaven, man. We go to heaven if you're saved.
You go straight to heaven. Okay, good. That's what happens.
Well, you go to one or the other. It's judgment.
Sounds pretty easy.
You go to heaven, or or you go to hell, or you go live in eternal.
I'm going to go to hell, and you know you're going to go to heaven. You've never done anything bad.
That's not the argument.
Exactly. I'll agree that I could be going to hell. I'm just saying you don't know that you're going to heaven, Chad. Okay, I'll admit I may be going to hell.
I don't truly know.
And I know that you're probably a homosexual, so you're definitely not going. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So all you do is throw these ad homs out nonstop, and that's why nobody can fucking follow you, man.
Dude, it's not ad homs. I'm just saying, you're trying to say you're a Christian. You don't even go.
I am a Christian.
Then
I
why
do know
don't
the
you?
Bible.
Then why don't you believe in the Bible? And why don't you
I
believe,
do believe in the Bible.
Well, then you would have to think that
Well,
the Earth is not
I
a
have to
spinning
be a flat
ball.
earther. I have to worship flat earthers to be a
I
follower
didn't
of the
say
Bible.
that. I just say if
That's
you
what you
follow
do.
the Bible,
You
I
worship
don't
flat
worship
earthers.
anybody. I
Yeah,
don't
you
worship
do.
anybody. I
Yeah,
don't
you
worship
do.
anybody. Listen,
Yeah,
Chad,
you do.
I don't worship anybody.
The
That's
government
the
and
difference between you and
NASA
me.
lives rent free in your mind,
No, I
24/7.
don't ever talk about NASA or the government.
Yeah, you do. You
I
talked
gotta
about it
show
like
the
50 times
conspiracy
tonight.
on a debate where I'm debating 5 different people
Yeah.
at once. Yeah,
You're
Chad.
spurging out about
that-
fucking NASA and all this
Because
conspiracy
it's
shit
all
about.
fake. And Chad, you're the one that acts like you know what happens when you die. So I just shows you, it shows you how dumb you are and how big of a waste of time you are. Like, I'm the one here. I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm Primetime 99. You can bring it on. I deal with.
Yeah, dude.
I got enough retard fuel for all you idiots. You guys can come on and say that you know everything about Christianity. Yet you don't
Never
even know how
said
the
that.
Bible. You don't
Never
even know
said
how the
that.
Bible describes the shape
Straw
of the
man.
earth. It just shows you how dumb you are. And that haircut, it shows
Never
you how
said that.
gay you are. So I mean, dude, I don't really care, Chad, about your opinion. I mean, we can come here, we can talk all day long, but
Yeah,
you
love my
say
haircut. I don't
you
care.
coming and saying about Ozzy, I mean, you look terrible. That's all it is. I know that you're probably a virgin. I mean, you probably never very rarely get laid. I know that's a fact.
Hey, there's nothing. Hey, I'm not a virgin, but there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a virgin.
Glasses, there's no way you get laid wearing those glasses. Any girl that would sleep with you with those glasses.
Yeah, I
has a
take out the
mental
glasses
handicap.
first, obviously.
I would hope so,
But,
because you look like a real loser with those on. Just saying.
Yeah, so yeah, I do take the glasses off before I do that, but there's nothing wrong with being a virgin, man. Save yourself before marriage. I encourage
you
it.
are a virgin.
No, I'm not. I literally said I wasn't, and then I said it's okay not to be.
You are. You're trying to say that
You are. So you are. Oh my God, I'm gonna grasp it any straw I can hold on to.
You're too embarrassed to admit that you are a virgin, so you're just trying to deflect by saying
I'm not.
because you are.
I'm not.
You want to say
Even if I were, I wouldn't be. Even if I were, I wouldn't be.
My wife says Chad's cute.
Chad loves virgins. I mean, Chad is a virgin. I mean, he thinks everybody should be a virgin. And I do too, Chad. I do too.
You should be.
Everyone should be a virgin until marriage, though.
Jesus.
To be fair,
just look into Genesis. If everybody here is going to be a Bible banger, just look into it. That's end of argument. Look at how the Bible describes the earth. It doesn't describe
I might agree with you. I might agree with you.
Chad didn't have a problem with what you were saying. He had a problem with how you were talking to Ozzy. That's it.
Yeah, because Ozzy was being annoying because Ozzy's describing, they're saying pushing off a leg is the same as no thrust. I know, but trying to make a point, you're comparing apples and oranges. Okay. You're comparing apples and oranges. I'm not here to compare the size of an orange with the size of an apple, dude. I want to do actual, real comparisons that actually work, not just theorize. All these theories is what we do. We just, I'm just going to theorize. Oh, that planet and that galaxy is X amount of miles away. And it's 700,000 degrees because this gas kind of looks like that. That's all funny. If
your theory was correct, then you wouldn't have a problem with other people pontificating about their theory and why their theory is correct.
I don't mind it. People can
talk about it.
No, I'm here. 5 people are trying to debate me at once, Chad.
No,
what do you
that's
think?
not true.
Then what's the name of the show? What is the name of the show, Andrew?
It's literally
this is the Crucible.
Yeah, it's Alex versus the world. So it's not you, Chad versus
Alex
the world.
versus the world.
It's me versus the world. So you want me to come on here and act a certain way? I'm sorry, I'm not going to act in your cookie cutter way. It seems like you do care because you're out here crying about Ozzy. It seems like you care. I'm acting a lot that you had to come on this show and cry and be a crybaby all about it. So you do care, Ozzy. I mean, you do care, Chad, and you know that's a fact.
What's up?
Looks like we got another one. He's coming for you. He's coming for you.
Okay.
Yeah. What's up, Alex?
10 minutes to sort this out, and then we're gonna wrap the show down. Zen, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I just want to set the record straight. I'm not gonna sit here and watch for any longer a dude who's dressed like he's about to go to a bar mitzvah sit here and ad hom everybody and think he's making actual arguments. So, Alex
Shapiro,
Stein.
I know you go to a lot of bar mitzvahs. I know you go to a lot of
settle down, bro. Settle down. It's not going to work on me. 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 Settle down. It's not going to work on me.
This isn't. Did you bring your dreidel?
It's not going to work on me.
Did you bring your dreidel?
It's not going to work on me. Alex, it's not going to work. It's not going to work on me.
What do you mean? We're going to sit here and talk all night.
You're just spewing verbal diarrhea. Settle down. Hey, I got a question for you. So you said you believe in God. You said you believe in God, but you don't know which one.
Yes.
Okay. So how do you know that God exists?
Because the story that they tell us that we evolved from pond scum, I believe that to be a lie because there's no transitional species.
That does not necessitate that God exists. How did you determine that God exists?
Because I can feel God in my heart when I go to bed at night, when I'm sad.
Feelings are not an argument.
What are you talking about? You're telling me
feelings are not an argument, retard.
So you're saying I'm the retard, Zach. You're the one that's coming.
Yes, because you just said because I can feel it. He must feel it. No, that's not an argument. How did you determine that God exists?
Shapiro, you're going to come here. I came on this show.
Yeah, I'm going to come here. I'm going to come here and flip the script on you because you don't get to do the same things you do to everybody else.
No, this is what I do. I can yell and talk to you all night long. But Shapiro, so you're saying there is no creator?
I'm a different story. It's not going to work on me. Like I said.
No, you're just some loser behind
I'm a Bible-believing Christian. I do not believe in evolution at all.
Okay, so what are you telling me? So what are you arguing with me about? You're just yelling at me, Shapiro. You're not even debating me. You just came on here and started yelling at me like an idiot about something about a bar mitzvah. All you did is come here and...
Right.
I'm just saying, you're in a T-shirt, a $2 T-shirt from Ross Dress for Less, and you got a crappy webcam. You got that... I know you're a gamer. I know you're a loser that just games all day with your thing. You have no...
But anyway,
you're just a loser gamer.
Not an argument. Not an argument.
Come on here and try to yell at me. You're just a loser.
Not an argument.
Go get on your Xbox.
Not an argument.
12-year-olds.
I will after this. I plan on it. But settle down, Alex. Settle down. The Adderall must be peaking right now.
I'm not on Adderall. The thing is, I'm the one that's taking on the Crucible. So that's why
yes, and I've got a question for you. I've got a question for you.
Is it Call of Duty related? Because I don't know how that
works. No, it's what we were talking about.
Why was the Crucible in quotes? What the fuck was that? You fucking bastard.
You're trying to crucify me. I mean, I'm prime time.
I'm not trying to. I'm trying to ask you a question.
This guy's trying to crucify me. It's not going to work. He's talking about bar mitzvahs.
How did you determine, absent of your feelings, that God exists? How did you determine that?
Because there's no transitional species from the primordial soup that they tell us that we evolved from.
Okay, but that does not necessitate that God exists. How did you determine?
How did you determine that God? Okay, how did you determine that God exists?
Okay, yeah. Okay, so just let the record show that he didn't answer the question. He's deflecting it back to me, but I'm happy to answer because it was revealed to me both through general and special revelation.
So that's your feeling. So you feel that, so it's fake. It was revealed to you because you revealed it because you felt it.
It's called revelation.
No, you felt it. You're a liar and a loser.
No, it's called revelation. Did I use the word feelings?
Yeah,
you're projecting.
Yeah,
you're projecting right now.
Does that mean you saw it? Oh, you saw it. So that means
as it has been revealed to me. Listen. It's called general. Listen, dude. Listen, I'll explain it to you. I'll explain it to you. It just shows you how retarded you are. If you let me. If you stop with the verbal diarrhea.
I don't even care because you're so stupid. You need to go play Call of Duty. I just don't care about loser gamers.
If you stop with the verbal diarrhea, I will explain it to you.
Wasting your time coming here trying to talk to me.
You're going to a bar mitzvah, dude.
I'm dressed nice. You're trying to make fun of me. Oh, you're that stupid that somebody dressed nice is considered bad. That's you're in the upside down world. You're in the clown world.
You dress nice to a blood sport debate.
You're in the clown world. You're the loser that's on your... Listen, you're the loser that plays video games all day, coming in here to try to yell at me for yelling at the other people. That's okay. I can take it. Once again, I'm Primetime 99 outside. I'm the king of all conspiracy. You can get mad at that, and you can come here and argue with me.
Okay, well, let's talk about your foundations of knowledge. Let's talk about your epistemology.
Listen, I believe in God. That's that. That's all you need to know.
Hey,
I believe that there's a creator. It doesn't matter. My relationship with God is private to me.
Who is it?
Oh, why does it matter to you? Why would you need to know my relationship with God? Because you're a loser. Because you're a soy boy. Because you want to know all about me. Because you're obsessed with me. That's how you came here. You want to know all about me. That's why you're asking all these questions. You want to know all about me because you want to play your little video game and you want to talk all about me all day. Because you have nothing else to do besides talk about me. That's why you come on the show, because you want to talk to Alex Stein because you're a loser by yourself playing video games. So you want to come talk to a real man. Yeah, well then that's okay. If I was obviously somebody enough for you to come on and talk to me. So that just shows you how big of a loser you are, because you're a nobody coming on a show trying to argue.
Not an argument. You're just trying to derail with ad hocs. This is not an argument. No, you came on in the Crucible. This is a blood sport debate channel.
You realize we're trying to argue on how I think God is real. It's like that should be how retarded you are.
I want you to articulate how you determine that. I can tell you, I determined it through general and special revelation. How did you determine it?
Because they said that we evolved. Let me answer. They said we evolved from pond scum. I don't believe that to be the case. I believe
okay, so you've negated a contradiction. Now support your claim that God exists.
Because the sun, moon, and stars are a clock in the sky, so I know that it's a perfect creation and that it's not a cosmic accident. And the idea that everything came from the Big Bang was created by a Jesuit priest that's a liar, and the Catholic Church is full of a bunch of pedophiles. So that's how I know that all religion can be adulterated by man. So that's how I know God's exist. So we can sit here and circumcise your hand, but I don't even want to talk to you anymore about how I think God exists. No, Shamir, it just shows you how retarded you are.
This is intentional. You do this because you don't want people to respond to you. You just battle out verbal diarrhea this, but nobody can respond. No, that's not going to work. That's not going to work.
God is real. You're
so
trying to
you've
ask me how I
rejected the
think
Big Bang
God
and
is
you've rejected
real.
evolution. Congratulations. I agree with both of those. I mean, I have a different theory on the Big Bang. I think it is there was a God made it so, and there was a Big Bang, and here we are. But anyway, that's not the point. If you say you believe in God, but you don't have any revelatory details as to how you determine that,
so that means there's no God. You're right. There's no God. All right, you won.
Listen,
you won
settle
today.
down.
There's no God, and you don't even believe that. That shows you how ingenuous.
No, it just shows you how ingenuous. So
think what you're arguing. You're arguing against your own point.
Listen, dude. Listen. No,
you're so
I'm not.
retarded.
No,
you're
I'm
arguing
not.
against your
I'm
own
not.
point.
I'm not.
So you're trying to get me to say that God. You're trying to make me say that God doesn't exist while you believe in God.
How are you allowing this?
How are you allowing this, dude? You're coming on and trying to argue your own point.
What is
it
he
just
doing?
shows you how dumb you are, Shapiro.
You know what? Every once in a while, I'm okay with that. You know,
it's fun. This is fun. Let me finish my sentence, dude.
Let me finish this. This is what I don't understand. You're trying to say that I don't believe in God, but you believe in God. No. Your whole argument is that you believe in God and that I don't believe in God. That's not an argument, but you don't get to determine whether I believe in God.
Hang on. You gotta wrap this show down.
Solely based on your conjecture, your feelings.
You don't get to
This is not an argument.
You don't get to pick for me whether I believe in God or not.
You literally admitted that you believe in God because your fifis told you, and then you're calling everybody else a soy boy.
My fifis told me.
Yeah,
no, I'm not.
That's what you said. That's what you said.
My fifis told me.
Yes, you did.
Go back to Call of Duty.
Yes, you did.
You gotta go back to. You gotta go
Actually,
back to
Rocket League and Overwatch.
What you need to do is Zen. You got to go back to your Call of Duty game.
No, Rocket League and Overwatch.
I'm just saying. It's a fact.
Yeah, Call of Duty is for Alex Stein soy boys.
All I'm saying is this. I have my personal connection with God. You can say that I don't have that. That's fine. I'll agree. I'm just saying, you can say I don't believe in God, but you believe in God. So what's your argument? What's your argument? You're trying to get me to say that I don't believe in God?
I got a question for you. Guys, I'm sorry, Alex. I had to mute you for just a second. It was right at the end of the show. I haven't muted you the whole show. I'm not going to. The only reason I did it this time is because we're at the 1 hour 50 mark, and I'm 7 minutes away from another debate, so I have to wrap this show up. I thank all of the guests for coming on. That was a blast. It was amazing. But Alex, since you were the guest tonight, and by the way, walked right into the Lion's Den. Alex's debut on the Crucible was Alex versus the world. He did take on the world. Good fucking job, brother. I appreciate it. Can you give a shout out? Tell everybody where they can find your crazy ass.
Go to the Conspiracy Castle on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, everything. Alex Stein 99. If you can't find me, you're not looking hard enough because I'm Primetime 99 Alex Stein. I'm the king of all conspiracy.
Take care, Alex. Have a great night.
See you guys.
Later, man.
See ya.
Set it up. Me and this guy.
Done, all right, Shapiro. Bring the dreidel.
We're setting it up. It's going to happen.
Done, Shapiro. I'll crush you. But you got to turn to Call of Duty. You got to go back. You can't
play Rocket League. We play Rocket League and Overwatch.
All right,
take care, gentlemen. Have a great night. I got to get to the next broadcast. I'll see y'all.
See ya.
Well, that was fun. Yeah, set it up. Hey, I got to
Alex